This episode is brought to you by Pinnacle Pathways. I'm Aarya.
And I'm Yuvam, and we're the founders of Pinnacle Pathways, a youth-led initiative built to help teenagers and young professionals navigate their way through the ever-evolving corporate landscape.
At Pinnacle Pathways, our mission is to bridge the gap between education and industry. We aim to equip students with the real-world skills, insights, and exposure they need to thrive not just academically but professionally.
Through interviews with industry leaders, hands-on learning opportunities, and personalized guidance, we're building a platform where youth are not just participants, but leaders of tomorrow's workforce.
We believe in the power of meaningful conversations, and that's exactly what we bring you through this podcast. So whether you're a student, an aspiring entrepreneur, or just curious about how industries really work, this is your space.
Let's dive into today's episode and get ready to uncover insights that could shape the future of your career and mindset.
Welcome to Pinnacle Pathways Podcast, where we empower today's teens with grit, confidence, and essential skills needed to thrive in the corporate world. Our youth-led platform provides insightful conversations, hands-on workshops, and practical guidance to help you master leadership, communication, analytic thinking, and a balanced work ethic. We are here to demystify the corporate landscape, teaching you not only what employers want, but also how to build a compelling professional profile and navigate organizational structures effectively. Today's guest is Angelina Verghese, the creative force behind Angelina Verghese Photography, running a mobile studio that brings professional photography to your home or office. Angelina specializes in branding portfolios, branded products, and food photography. With years of experience balancing artistic vision with business acumen, she seamlessly blends creative storytelling with a corporate mindset. Angelina is here to share her journey, practical advice, and insights on how to create a lasting memories while understanding the corporate side of the creative industry. Angelina's journey from passion to profession is a testament to the power of following your creative call while aligning it with a broader corporate vision. Her early experience not only shaped her art but also laid the groundwork for building a professional brand. Let's begin by exploring these formative moments. Angelina, can you please share the moment or experience that sparked your passion for photography and how that inspired you to launch your own brand?
So, hi, good morning. Thank you for having me here today. I actually have a very creative mind always running in the background. I started my journey, actually, I used to fly with Emirates as cabin crew, so I used to travel the world. So, when I got my hands on a professional digital camera, um, before that I used to use the smaller versions of camera and I used to photograph everything. I went and bought a proper digital camera and I started photographing just random things and whatever caught my eye, and people would always ask me, what did you photograph, what is this? So it was something very different, and everyone told me that I do have an eye for photography. So I just started photographing a lot of things, and that's how I started my journey.
How did that early inspiration help you understand the importance of combining creativity with professional discipline?
So the key is to take your camera wherever you go, and sometimes you never know what you might catch. Anything got to do with nature or anything got to do with everyday life, and that's something that is it cannot be created. It's something that you need to catch on the spot. So it's always best to have the camera with you in your hand, so that way things are there for
Nice.
you, and you really get a good shot.
Your story beautifully shows how a spark can lead to a purposeful career. Now, let's dive into how you build your foundational skill with a corporate mindset in mind. What skills, both creative and corporate, did you focus on developing early in your career, and how did you work on strengthening these abilities?
So I didn't really plan on being a photographer. I actually wanted to be a cabin crew, which I did achieve. So that was a big feather in my hat. And I also wanted to become an actress. So I was more on the in front of the camera.
Than behind the camera.
That was my plan. But Yeah, as years went by, I got my hands on the camera, but I had a lot more fun behind the camera. So I would say that do what your heart tells you and where your passion leads you to, and you. What I did early on is when I did get the camera in my hand, I wanted to understand the whole dynamics of how the camera works and the basic setup. After that, I did get certifications for that. I took courses, not just with the camera, I took with lighting and I took with editing. So combine all of them together, I just pushed forward, and then I started doing my own things, and then that's how I just went forward with it, and I've come this far.
What practical exercises would you recommend to teens who want to blend artistic passion with professional skill building?
So there are lots of programs out there. Nowadays, AI has become very, advanced, and there is a lot of things that you can do with AI and photography. So I would just say that see the market, see what is there, and then build your own style based on that.
Thanks. Strong foundations set the stage for a long-term success. Next, let's explore the overcoming early challenges. Could you please describe a significant challenge you encountered when you first started out and how you transformed that setback into an opportunity for growth?
So obviously in the beginning you are not known, you don't have any kind of work to show that this is what you have done, and when you actually try to get jobs, people don't take you seriously. So when you go to the market, you need to do a lot of pro bono work, and that can be a little uh, a little down for you because you're not really in the market, so you can't quote pricing, you can't do much in terms of show your work. But as and when you go, I had friends along, so they would always call me. So that's how I just built my portfolio. So when you start off in the beginning, you have to start off like small. Some people get very lucky and then they just hit it big time, but so when you actually do that, you learn over the process and how to deal with people. So there's a lot of learning involved in your journey as a photographer.
What mindset shifts help you view obstacles as stepping stones to both creative and corporate success?
So again, it's a lot of it's a lot of confidence that you need to have in yourself first. You need to have your work to show that this is what you can do. But it's also, if you're going to sit quietly and then wait for work to come to you, it doesn't work that way. You need to market yourself, you need to meet people, you need to network, you need to always show up. So this is basically, these are the few things that you need to do, to put your name forward.
Developing a strong personal brand is essential in any field, especially in a competitive corporate environment. Angelina's ability to merge artistry with a compelling professional image has set her apart. Let's examine how she built her brand. What were the core elements you focused on when creating the brand identity for Angelina Verghese Photography, and how do these elements communicate your unique value?
So I'm more of a candid photographer. I like to shoot a lot of candid shots because that's what brings out the best in people. And for me, it was always something that I wanted to capture the memory, and I wanted to create something which people will always remember. So for me, that was very important. So I always started with capturing. I would never ask people to pose. And somehow they seem to like those photos more. So I think that's a great way to, to just discover what the client wants and, what your unique style is. So it took me a little while, but it's not like I've not tried everything. I've tried all genres of photography and I can shoot anything from A to Z. but it's just you just have to develop your own style as in along the way you go.
How can young professionals in any field craft a brand that stands out in both creative and corporate circles?
So nowadays, it's all the younger generation, I think, is really making their own brands now. Like it's not like how it used to be in the past. So as and when, so when this is, sorry. So the younger generation these days are learning that no job is too small for anyone. So they're creating their own jobs. So it's not just things that have already been existing in our age or generations. They are just creating new opportunities for themselves. And the ideas that people are coming up with is really amazing. So I think this generation is really quick in learning, and they have taken things from what they have seen in the past and moving forward with it. And technology is really supportive of that. So I think that's something that it's really going to help the younger generation to secure their own footing in this kind of environment.
Your branding approach clearly demonstrates that authenticity and clarity are key. Now let's discuss networking. How do you strategically leverage social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to build your network and showcase your work to both creative and corporate audiences?
Okay, so I'm not the most tech savvy person. I am also still learning, and I'm sure people who have already got these accounts are also still learning, because the trend and the market is just growing so fast, and you have to keep up with it. So I would say that get onto all these platforms as early as possible, learn how it works for you in your business, and then see how you can strategize and build your brand and take it forward to the next level.
What are some effective strategies to make genuine connections that enhance your professional profile?
So the idea is to get in touch with all your existing clients. One is to keep them updated of all the things that you are still doing, just so that you're always there in front of them. And also bring new ideas. And my thing is to continue going to all these networking groups. I love to meet people. I'm a people person. And any chance I get to meet up with people, I take that opportunity. So I'm a part of a lot of networking groups, and I have built my brand basically just talking, just talking with them. And then when they want to see my work, that's when I show my work. And it really helps because that really puts you there in the limelight. So I think networking is really good, and really it helps you boost your business.
Building authentic networks is crucial for professional growth. Next, let's discuss gaining practical experience. Which projects or collaborations early in your career significantly boosted your portfolio, and how did those experiences help you understand corporate expectations?
So I've done a shoot for Rivoli for e-commerce, which is really good. It's a big brand, and it really helped me boost my confidence. And I also worked with for Tanishq. I did a small jewelry reel for Tanishq. And also I have worked with other photographers who have given me opportunities to work with Nike, to work with Triumph, and these are big brands. So I'm really humbled and appreciative of all the opportunities that have come my way. And I am looking at getting more brands under my name, and hopefully one day I will have a big hoarding of one of my images on the Sheikh Zayed Road. So that's my dream.
What advice would you offer to young creatives to identify and secure high value opportunities in both creative and corporate settings? What advice would you offer to young creatives to identify and secure high value opportunities in both creative and corporate settings?
So if a person wants to move forward, and if they're going to sit down and not know what's happening in the market, that's not going to help. So they need to be constantly checking what the new trends are, what's new in the market, which person is doing what, follow the lead, their idols, and see what everybody else is doing. And then again, as I said, make their own style, but they need to know what is happening around them.
Innovation in photography lies at the intersection of creative vision and technical precision. an approach that resonates in both artistic and corporate environments. Let's delve into how you balance these aspects. How do you blend your artistic vision with technical mastery during your shoots, and what tools or techniques do you rely on to maintain that balance?
So I have my basic tools. I have my cameras, I have my lenses, I have my tripods, I have my lighting, I have my soft boxes, I have my laptop. So these are all very crucial equipment that you need for your photography. Even backdrops, I have a mobile studio, which means I come to your location, whether it's your office or your home, and I do the shoot for you. So, which means I set up everything, right? You don't have to go to a studio. So, I bring everything to you and shoot, and I do the editing. So, it's all in one process. So, when you have all of these equipment, it's easier to make your job easy, and it simplifies everything. But yes, you need to have experience in using this. For those people who don't really want to spend that much time doing all of this, they always have options of getting outside editors to do their work. But I like to be in the whole process, so I do a lot of these things by myself.
How can aspiring photographers and creative professionals develop a similar approach that appeals to corporate clients as well? Sorry, I should repeat again.
Yes, please.
How can aspiring photographers and creative professionals develop a similar approach that appeals to corporate clients as well?
So the corporates are they're also emerging in the new market, and they don't always realize that they do need photography. Okay, so sometimes they think they can just do away with it just because they're a big corporate. But right from getting your headshots to your office interiors to your employees, they need these kind of photography, and to your products. So that's how they would market, because when they have to build their brand and they have to put things on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is used mainly for corporates. So they do need these kind of photography options, so that they are seeing themselves as a higher company, like with something with status. So sometimes you have a social media person rebranding them for a website, and they don't, and the companies, corporates, they don't really have good photos. So the social media people are really our friends, and they are the ones who actually tell them that, look, you need to upgrade your images, so why don't you get these photographs done. So that's how we get into the corporate world in terms of photography. I have tried a lot of things. Everything has been a process, a learning process. I've not done any more courses, but I do see other photographers trying different things, and they're so inspirational. And I said, hey, I can do this. So when I get my camera in the hand, I plan, sometimes to do certain shoots, but they don't always turn out the way that I want them. But then something or the other, I try a different style, I change some settings, and then it's a completely different photo. So and I'm like, okay, this works. So I keep trying to work on that and see how else can I make this kind of a shot, and if people appreciate that. So that's basically how I put my skills in learning, and I'm happy, that AI is also helping with this kind of style.
How can young professionals leverage experimentation to drive both artistic and corporate innovation?
Again, it's a learning for the younger generation, and they need to first know how the basics of the camera. Not everything happens on a mobile phone, and people need to understand that what they photograph on a mobile phone is not the same as what they get on a high DSLR camera. And there's a reason why photographers charge what they charge, because they have put in a lot of time and effort into purchasing that equipment, sorry. And basically, the results that you get on a DSLR and the results you get on a phone is completely different. So, for example, if I tell people, I'm going to photograph on a phone, and then they say, oh, this image is really great, I want this to be enlarged. That doesn't happen, because the quality and the pixels of the photograph is not going to allow you to enlarge that photo at all. So you've lost that photo essentially. But if you have a DSLR and you're shooting on RAW, and you have the liberty to really blow up that photo, like as big as a hoarding, So that is something that people don't understand. So the new generation, yes, I mean, all the phones are coming out with amazing pixels and everything, but the essence of the photograph is lost.
Being open to new ideas fuels progress in any field. Finally, let's touch on adaptability under pressure. When faced with an unforeseen challenges during a shoot, like poor lighting or unexpected charge changes, how do you adapt to ensure the final product still meets higher standards?
So in terms of lighting, it always happens with, when you're in an enclosed room. And if, you're having an event and the room is really dark and your flash is not reaching. So sometimes it's always better that you go ahead of time to do the lighting test to see what you need. And if you still need lighting to bring additional lights, you should always have your batteries charged. You should always have extra SD cards, because these are things that you need to plan for, and that's what goes into a pre-shoot checklist. So when you have all of this ready, then you don't have to face all of these issues.
What problem solving strategies can listeners adopt in both creative projects and corporate challenges?
So as I said, again, you have to have a checklist to go through, and you need to have questions ready to ask the client. What is it that they're actually looking for? Because sometimes what they say is not what you have to shoot on the time that you actually reach the venue. So things keep evolving and changing as in during the course of the shoot. So you have to make sure that you ask the client what is it that they require, make a checklist and say, okay, these are the things, confirm it with them, and say, okay, just summarize, and this is what you're going to get for this, and make sure that the client agrees with it, so you have something to back you up to say that, okay, fine, so these are the things that you ask for. If they ask for anything extra from that, to say, sorry, this was not in the agreement. So you always better to have things that are there on a contract, on an agreement, and both you and the client have agreed to it.
Running a creative business requires not only artistic flair but also strong corporate acumen. Angelina's experience shows how to manage operations effectively while staying true to your creative vision. Let's explore this balance. How do you manage the business aspects of Angelina Verghese photography, from scheduling shoots to handling client communications while ensuring creative quality remains top priority?
It's a tough job, but you have to do it when you're starting from small, and then you need to you grow. These are things that you're not always told about, but you have to go through it, because that's the only way you're going to know what the whole process is when you do grow. So anything you can tackle in the future, because you've gone through the whole process. So right from getting a lead or a referral, or connecting with people, you have to have a conversation with them. They need to be comfortable with you. You need to show your work. Then you have to go back home and do a follow-up call or a message. Send your portfolio. Ask them what is it that they're looking for. So there's a lot of things that you go through in this process, just to ensure that you keep the client engaged, and you also are interested in helping them get to where they want to be. So when you have all of these lined in place, things flow smoothly. But a lot of things are got to do with communication. So that is the main thing that you need to have with your client, because if you don't communicate, it's like they don't take you seriously and they move forward. Either they forget, or they go with somebody else who is actually gone and done more communication, even though you've done all the work. So just make sure that you keep communicating with the client, and make sure that you tick all the boxes that they're looking for, and things will fall into place.
What organizational strategies have you found most effective in maintaining efficiency?
So always try and keep a track of everything that you do. So all your past clients, if you have email IDs, phone numbers, names, so that helps to actually have a list of your clients. And then you can always send them, if you have offers, to just keep pushing slightly. Nowadays you're so bombarded with so much of spam messages, so many, promos coming, and everything like goes to junk mail. So to avoid all of that, personalize your communication with the client. So they'll always be in your either in your inbox, or they will always respond to you when you send them a message.
Your insights highlight that business operations and creativity can go hand in hand. Let's talk about your client relationships. What are your key strategies for building and maintaining strong relationships with clients, and how do these relationships influence your work and reputation?
So I'm not so much of a WhatsApp kind of a person or an email kind of a person. I like to pick up the phone and talk to people. So for me, that is very personal, and I can get a lot more conversation happening when I'm talking to people than just typing and sending message. Nowadays, everybody's like, they've got muscles on their thumbs because they're just typing. And I'm a little old school. So for me, it is a lot of personal connection. So when I pick up the phone and I call the client, so for me, that's a different, happiness. And I'm sure the client also feels special because, I've actually taken the time to pick up the phone and call them and actually have a conversation with them. And then I go also, if one step ahead, is sometimes I ask the client if they'd like to meet up for a tea or coffee, just for a chat, just to keep them engaged and just build a relationship. So that's basically what I do, and it brings me happiness.
How do you integrate client feedback to continuously improve your services in a competitive corporate market?
So again, is I try and learn what all the new trends are happening to make sure that I try and at least try certain styles to see how I can be different. And again, communication with the corporates is always key. Nowadays, there is a lot of social media marketing people, advertising people. The companies are just, so many out there right now. So your best bet is to tie up with somebody, so there's always constant work coming from that. If not, then you continue building your own brand by meeting all these people. Find out what are the new companies that have come up, how they can use your services, and this just build a reputation around that, because you've already started getting, you already have a nice portfolio to back you up. Now it's not like how you started from the beginning, so now you actually have the portfolio and you can approach clients better.
Building trust with clients is essential for long term success. Now, let's discuss corporate storytelling. When working on branding portfolios or product photography, how do you capture a brand's essence and convey it effectively through your visuals?
So I always ask questions to the client. I don't ask just one question, or I ask 10 if I have to. And sometimes that information is still not enough. I try and find out what is important to them. What is it that they're trying to sell? What is it that they need? So based on that, I will try and come up with some kind of ideas how best they can, put the product or themselves in the market based on this. So there's a lot of styling that goes onto it just to get into the story of it. So the colors are important, the setting is important. If it's just e-commerce, fine, it's a white backdrop, so you don't really have to do much. But when you're trying to tell a story, there's a lot of questions to find out what they're aiming for. And you have to try and see, like maybe look at surveys in the market and what is trending and what actually works. So finding out all of these and doing that kind of style really helps with the corporate clients.
What techniques ensure that your storytelling resonates with the corporate audiences and elevates their brand identity?
So similarly to what I said, basically sometimes the corporates or the clients don't really know what to do. They just have product and they want to sell it, but they have no knowledge of that, how to do it. So sometimes the social media people or the marketing people or the branding people come into picture and they say, we want these kind of shots, because they're the ones who are more updated with what the latest trends are happening on social media and on the reels. So when they say, okay, this is the storyline, this is what we want, this is what we're looking for, that's when either the social media people communicated with the photographers or the clients communicated with the photographers. So that's how we kind of, work around with trying to communicate and build that kind of a story.
Staying ahead in a fast evolving industry means anticipating trends and continuously refining your skills. A future focused mindset is essential for long term growth. Let's dive into what the future holds. Which emerging trends in photography and digital imaging excite you the most? And how can young creatives prepare to take advantage of these innovations?
So there's a lot of programs out there, and I think when AI started, it was a big everybody jumped on board on this and everybody wanted to create something. So people were trying out all these different apps and making images. I'm sure I'm talking about last year, but now this year people have gone way past even that. So there's a lot of things that come on that looks real and which is not. So people need to be careful with that as well. So that's the new trends that are going out. And then I would say that, just learn what the programs are out there. Try it for yourself and see how you can, work around it. I don't know much about AI. I'm not doing too much with it because I like to stay very basic and I like to stay very old school, because what always happens, it's a big circle. The new trends come and everything goes back and it comes back a full circle, because what we used to see in the past 60s and 70s, so those kind of things have always come back in terms of clothing, in terms of style, in terms of a lot of trends. So they're just coming back. So I'm so yeah, that's it. You can cut.
What new tools or techniques should they start exploring right away?
Sorry.
Like, what new tools or techniques should they start exploring right away?
So first, get a DSLR camera, okay, not a mobile phone. Get a DSLR camera, get a tripod, and get some kind of basic lighting. Or you could do even without the lighting, but just get a DSLR camera that you can take out and walk the streets and just try the different settings on the camera for you to learn. It's not everything is automatic. You have to play with the manual buttons because you need to figure out, if I put this in this format, or if I choose this option, what is the result you're going to get. So when you have like light balance, you have an available light, white balance, which is, what everybody uses. Then you have the fluorescent, you have the tungsten, there's a certain button that you can customize the lighting. So all these things, not everybody understands. So you need to go through each and every button on that phone, on the camera, so that you can know, in terms of if you need to quickly change something, you know what to do. So that really helps in terms of getting to know your equipment, and these are the basic steps you need to learn at least.
Proactive learning sets you up for future success. Next, let's talk about skill development. What technical and soft skills do you foresee being the most valuable over the next few years? And how can our listeners begin to cultivate these skills through practical projects or online courses?
So yes, there are a lot of courses out there for you to do these days. You have to get at least a basic photography course, a lighting course, editing. These days, I think everybody is quite quick on learning their video skills or photography skills. They have apps to do that sometimes for them. So when the olden days, I always go back to the olden days because that's how I've learned. So we had, those camera reels where you only had 36 exposures, and that was it. Once you take a photo, that is it. You cannot adjust anything. It automatically does everything for you, and you have to go and develop the 36 images. But now the options are endless. You can take 2,000 pictures, and then you have Adobe, you have DaVinci, you have a lot of, other programs out there to help you, just enhance these images. So you have the color, you can change anything. It's not like you have to put the physical paper and put them in the solution and hang them up to dry now. But so these are the newer things that are happening. And I think learning all of these is essential to help you move forward as a photographer.
Which resources or communities have been the most helpful in your own growth?
So as I said, I network a lot, and I have a lot of people who are very switched on, and they are always getting me referrals, trying to push my photography. And they've always encouraged me to always strive for the best, do better. Sometimes I do feel down because, you have the occasional people not respecting your line of work or appreciating your time. And something that nowadays, I mean, I used to do things a lot for people just so that I could get the experience. But now, with over the years of skill, there's a point of time when you come to say that, okay, no. And people do ask, can you do a collaboration, which means we are not going to pay you? I straight away say no, because I have to put my into getting to where I am today. And so when people ask for free work, it's not comfortable for me. I don't like to say no, but it's something that the market needs to understand, the client needs to understand that as much as you're putting your effort into having your own business and you want the fruits of your business, the same way, this is my business. And just to understand that it's something that I have worked really hard for and I need to get paid for this. So I always have to come up with this thing that says, okay, no, I'm sorry, I don't do collabs. A free collabs. I mean, collabs can be a lot of things, but usually when they say it's not a paid event, then it's a little difficult to say no.
Intentional skill building creates a lasting momentum. Finally, let's focus on immediate action. If our listeners commit to one concrete action this week, whether it's starting a portfolio project, reaching out to a mentor, or experimenting with new photography technique, what would you recommend and why?
So sorry, I always start with so. When photographers these days are starting out, they need to take a subject, for example, a particular kind of a option of whether you want to do portraits. So I would say do a whole week of portraits or a whole month of portraits. Try what it looks like, see what you can play with in terms of portraits, and choose your style when it comes to portraits. So but you need to consistently do, either if you choose portraits, you need to consistently do portraits. If you're going to do real estate, find something consistently that you are going to do for real estate. So, and with food, experiment with food. So keep doing those shoots till you come up with your own style, and you're comfortable with that. So at any given point, if somebody says, okay, I want to get this shoot done, your setting, the camera equipment that you need, the kind of environment you need to set up, and the questionnaires and all of that. So these are things that actually help you to go forward. So when people starting out, they should actually try and concentrate on one thing so that they can excel in that.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Pinnacle Pathways Podcast. Angelina's journey illustrates how merging creative passion with strategic business insights can create memorable work and open doors in both artistic and corporate worlds. Her story reminds us to embrace challenges, innovate continuously, and always seek opportunities for growth. At Pinnacle Pathways, we are dedicated to guiding you through insightful conversations and practical experiences that propel you towards your goals. Keep pushing boundaries, stay curious, and always keep innovating, captivating, and elevating. Because your path to the pinnacle begins today. This is Joe signing off. Until next time.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our podcast. A huge thank you to our guests for sharing such valuable insights, and to all of you for tuning in.
At Pinnacle Pathways, our mission is to empower the next generation of professionals. And conversations like these are a powerful step in that direction.
This podcast is proudly produced by us, Yuvam and Aarya, as part of our commitment to bridging the gap between education and the corporate world.
Today's episode sparked a new perspective, helped you to learn something, or simply made you think. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And make sure to connect with us on social media for updates, resources, and more content designed to help you thrive in the real world.
Until next time, remember to keep innovating, captivating,
and elevating your way to the pinnacle.